Billionaire CEO discovers four street girls' incredible resemblance to life-changing wife he left 10 years ago. Jake Harrison strode down Wall Street, the concrete jungle pulsating with the frantic energy of New York City. His tailored suit hugged his frame perfectly, and the weight of his success pressed heavily on his well-groomed shoulders. Behind the veneer of unshakable confidence and millions in the bank, a gnawing emptiness began to creep in, isolating him from the world he had built. Each meeting, each profit margin, felt cold and lifeless compared to the warmth of family dinners at his childhood home, and the laughter that used to fill his heart when Emily was by his side. She had been the sun, and he had foolishly let her slip away 10 years ago as rain began to fall. He took a wrong turn on his way to a charity gala. The luxury of Park Avenue transformed into the grimy reality of forgotten alleyways. There, huddled together in the shadows, were four street girls, each with striking features that sent a jolt through Jake. They looked so much like Emily, each face a reminder of the love he had left behind. As he approached, he felt an inexplicable connection, a thread binding their fates. Their laughter was absent. In its place, stories of hardship dripped from their lips like the rain soaking his suit. "What are you doing here?" one of them asked, her eyes wide yet guarded. The sadness etched on their young faces was a stark contrast to the world of opulence he had come from. He really listened as they shared their struggles. Poverty, dreams deferred, family abandonment. Each tale resonated with the remorse bubbling inside him. These girls were fighting battles he had long forgotten. Could he have made a difference? Did his success come at the cost of failure in the human spirit? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The warmth of the girls' stories drew Jake in deeper. Each struggle echoed like a siren's song in his heart, reminding him of the warmth he had abandoned. He couldn't shake the feeling that his guilt was urging him towards a crossroads. Should he invest in their dreams and help them escape this cycle of despair? Or should he seek Emily, the very essence of hope in his life, and ask for her forgiveness? Standing there amongst the shadows, he realized his own privilege and the hidden cost of his corporate decisions. He was faced with a truth as heavy as the rain-soaked air. Success without compassion was empty. The contrasts overwhelmed him. The glimmering gala against the gritty reality of these girls reminded him of life's true riches. As one girl whispered her dream of a better life, Jake felt his chest tighten. Could he change their fate without changing his own? The enticing lights of the gala beckoned him back to his old world. Yet the real treasure lay in the raw, unfiltered beauty of humanity before him. The question lingered, lingering like the scent of rain on asphalt. Could he truly change the path of others while mending his own broken heart? Jake stood frozen for a moment, the weight of the rain merging with the weight of his decisions. The city's chaos faded to a whisper behind him. All he could hear was the fragile hope in the voice of the girl who had shared her dream. Plunging deeper into that moment felt both terrifying and exhilarating. "Do you really want to change?" she asked, tilting her head slightly, almost as if she could see right through him. Her eyes, deep and soulful, asked him what he was ready to sacrifice for this feeling. For them. What was he willing to do? Without thinking, he took a step back toward her, rolling the idea through his mind like a stone in a river. Would helping them mean abandoning the world he had built? Or could he merge those two worlds, letting compassion lead? "What's your name?" Jake asked, his own voice feeling foreign even to himself. "Lila," she answered, warmth breaking through her guarded demeanor. Lila. He tasted the name, a thread in his heart breaking free. "Tell me more about your dream." As she began to speak, the other girls leaned in, their features lit by the dim street lamp. Stories spilled out like a fountain, shared dreams of escape, education, and hope for a day when they would no longer be confined to these alleyways. They weaved visions of a life filled with laughter, the very laughter he had missed for so long. The more they talked, the more Jake felt a fire igniting inside him. He could feel the shift happening. It was electric, a turning point. What if he invested not just in their dreams, but made their dreams part of his own life? "I want to help you," he heard himself say, the words surprising him as they came out. "What if I financed your education? Helped you find a way out of this?" The girls exchanged looks, disbelief morphing into cautious hope. Lila's eyes glazed with emotion as she processed what he was offering. "You'd do that? For us?" "I have to do something," Jake replied, conviction echoing in place of the certainty he had once felt in boardrooms. "I've realized that what I have means nothing compared to what I can give back. Let us change our fates together." The moment was electric. It felt like a dam breaking, washing away years of regret and guilt. The four girls huddled closer, their spirits lifted in ways he hadn't expected. They were brightening under the shelter of his promise, their laughter returning as they began to imagine the lives they could build. But as Jake's heart danced with possibilities, a shadow lingered at the edges of his mind. Would Emily understand his new mission? Would she forgive him? Before he could probe too deeply into those questions, Lila grabbed his hand, pulling him back to the present. "Then let us make a plan," she exclaimed, energy radiating from her. "We can do this together." As they brainstormed, laughter and excitement swirled around them like the rain, washing off the taint of his past decisions. They were creating a new future built on the ashes of their struggles. Yet, amidst all the burgeoning hope, Jake felt that familiar tug at his heart again. Each decision was a step toward redemption, but could he bring Emily back into this picture? He caught Lila's gaze as they wrapped their plans, and a thought burned bright. His duty now might extend beyond shaping the girls' lives. Perhaps it was time to face Emily, too. He needed to confront the past, a past that lingered like an open wound, begging for closure. With determination surging within him, Jake made a silent vow. He wouldn't just transform these girls' lives. He would journey back to Emily, as well, and seek the forgiveness that might still be waiting for him. As they parted ways that night, hope hung heavy in the air. Felt intoxicating yet unresolved. A new chapter awaited, but questions swirled in his mind. Would Emily recognize the man he had become? Could their love withstand the storms of the past? With those thoughts alight, the city seemed both a world of possibilities and a haunting reminder of what he had lost. As he turned to leave, the drizzle faded, but the journey ahead promised to test every element of his being. Would he find the courage to take one last leap into the unknown? Jake stepped into the glow of the streetlights, his heart racing. The rain had started to lighten, but the storm within him raged on. With Lila's laughter still echoing in his ears, he felt a sense of purpose like he hadn't in years. Torn between the life he had built and the one he needed to embrace, he wrestled with what lay ahead. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Emily's number was still saved, a reminder of a love lost but not forgotten. Yet he hesitated. Would she still want to hear from him? The thought of rejection coiled in his stomach like a snake. "Jake!" Lila's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back. She rushed up beside him, her smile wide with possibility. "What's next?" "We need to think about finding scholarships, mentors, some way to get started." He turned to her, the weight of his burden mingling with her enthusiasm. "I'll help you find a way, I promise." The words felt right, but they also felt like a disclaimer. Jake had no idea of the hurdles they'd face. "Do you have anyone in mind?" Lila asked, her eyes sparkling like the rain-soaked pavement. "Actually, I do," he replied, the light bulb flickering to life. "There's a charity organization I was involved with a few years back. They focus on education and empowerment. Maybe they can help us. Let us contact them," she exclaimed, clapping her hands, igniting the spark of motivation in their conversation. As they walked, he realized Lila's ambition reminded him of Emily's spirit. A warmth swirled in his chest as memories flooded back, her laughter filling the air, her hopeful gaze when faced with adversity. Would he ever have that with her again? When they reached his car parked just a few blocks away, Jake paused. He leaned against the passenger door, taking in the moment the cool air, the vibrant city life moving around them, and Lila, pulsating with a contagious excitement. You know, Lila said almost shyly, "You're really different from most adults. You're actually listening. It means a lot." "Thank you," Jake replied, feeling a swell of pride. "I was lost, but I think I'm starting to find my way." She turned serious for a moment. "Just promise me you won't forget about us when things get busy. We really need someone who believes in us." The sincerity in her voice made his heart ache. "I won't. I give you my word." But he couldn't shake the thought of how much work lay ahead, not just for them, but for himself. The long drive to Emily's place filled him with anxiety. What would he say? How would she respond? As the familiar street came into view, the weight of his actions felt heavier than ever. Would he disrupt her life? Did he even have the right to walk back into her world? He pulled up outside her building and sat for a moment. His breath was shallow, his mind racing. This was it. The moment that could either bridge their past or shatter whatever fragile hope remained. Jake glanced up at the second-floor window where her light flickered softly, a beacon in the night. Memories washed over him, her smile, the way she challenged him, how she deemed him worthy of her time and love. But they had shattered, hadn't they? Just as he was about to turn the key and head inside, someone appeared at that window. His heart stopped. There she was, Emily, looking out, her expression unreadable. In a heartbeat, their eyes locked. Could she see how much had changed? Could she feel the yearning for forgiveness that hung in the air? An unbearable tension swelled inside him, amplifying every unspoken word. And then, she turned, vanishing from view. Jake's heart sank. What was he doing here? One last leap, one last chance to share everything he'd learned, to make amends. He climbed out of the car, steeling himself. As he walked toward the entrance, the weight of hope and fear mingling in his chest, a single question echoed in his mind. Would she welcome him back, or had the door already closed for good? Jake stood outside the building, his pulse pounding in his ears. Each step toward the entrance felt heavier, as if the ground itself were trying to pull him back. A part of him screamed to turn around, to drive away and let the moment pass. But he couldn't. Not now. Not after everything that had led him here. That he pushed the door open, and the familiar scent of the old building filled his lungs. It was a mix of aged wood, a hint of polish, and the distant aroma of someone's home-cooked meal. Jake climbed the stairs, each step echoing in his mind like a countdown. When he reached her door, he hesitated. Should he knock? Should he call out her name? All the questions he rehearsed in his head seemed to evaporate, leaving him with nothing but silence and the rapid beat of his heart. Taking a deep breath, he knocked softly. The sound reverberated, and he waited, every second feeling like an eternity. Finally, the door swung open. Emily stood there, a mix of surprise and confusion washing over her face. Jake couldn't help but notice how much she had changed. She looked more radiant than he remembered, yet the shadows of the past lingered in her gaze. "Jake," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Emily," he replied, the name feeling foreign on his tongue after so long. "What are you doing here?" she asked, crossing her arms defensively. The gesture was so familiar, yet it struck him like a plea for distance. "I just wanted to talk." His words felt inadequate, far too simple for the tumultuous thoughts swirling in his mind. "Talk?" she echoed, her eyes narrowing slightly. "About what? The past? About why you just disappeared from my life?" Every word she spoke felt like a dagger digging into the heart of everything he wanted to explain. "I know I hurt you, and I regret it every day, but I've been trying to change, trying to become a better person." "Change?" Emily scoffed. "You think that's enough? Just because you've had an epiphany, I should just welcome you back?" "No," he said, desperation clawing at his throat. "I don't expect you to just forgive me, but I need you to know that I'm different now. I'm trying to do better, not just for me, but for someone who believes in me, and it's not just that. I'm here because I want to help someone else too." She shook her head, hurt flashing across her face. "Help who? Another girl? Is that the new bandwagon you've jumped on? Because it really seems like you just want to make yourself feel better." Jake opened his mouth to respond, but the words caught in his throat. He realized she was right. He had come here with the weight of his own guilt and grief, and now it felt like he was laying that at her feet again. Lila, he finally managed, his heart aching as he said the name. She's a girl I'm mentoring. She's got dreams, but she needs guidance. I want to help her find her way just like you tried to help me once upon a time. Emily's expression softened slightly, but skepticism remained in her eyes. And you think that's going to somehow justify what you did? Just because you found someone else to rescue? No, it's not about justification, he said emphatically. It's about trying to be the person I should have been. And I came back because I need your guidance. I miss you. I've missed you for so long. The silence that followed was deafening. Emily stood there, tense, her emotions flaring like a flame waiting for the gentlest breath to either risk going out or ignite into something more. What do you want from me, Jake? She finally asked, her voice steadier, quieter. I want a chance for us. A chance to show you that I've changed. That I can be the man you once believed I could be. Just as hope flickered awake within him, her phone beeped from inside. The sound shattered the moment, and her gaze darted down as if seeking refuge from his penetrating stare. Please, can we just think this through? She whispered, turning towards the sound before her expression darkened again. It's complicated, Jake. Jake felt the air thicken around them, the distance anew, like an invisible chasm between old loves. I know. It is. I just need you to know that I'm here, he urged, pleading with both his eyes and heart. I won't walk away this time. Jake, she began, uncertainty lacing her tone. He stepped closer, daring to hope. Please. But before she could respond, another figure appeared behind her. A tall man with an easy smile plastered across his face, his hand lightly grazing Emily's shoulder. Who's this? The man asked, his gaze shifting between Jake and Emily, tension crackling in the air. All the progress Jake had made in a moment felt like it might slip away. And then, Emily's expression changed completely, a careful mask slipping into place. Nobody, she said, but the hurt in her eyes told a different story. Jake felt like he was standing on the edge of something huge, a choice, a decision that could change everything. Emily, he whispered again, the plea lingering, uncertain. But the door stood between them, each word hanging in the air, heavy with the weight of the past and a future that felt impossibly fragmented. Who was this man? And what did he mean for Jake's chances? Jake's heart raced as he stared into Emily's eyes, searching for a spark of the connection they once shared. Everything felt surreal, the world around him faded, and it was just him and her. But the man standing behind her shifted the dynamics entirely. Who was he? What did he mean for Jake's desperate mission to reconnect? Jake, Emily said, setting her shoulders back. There was a firmness in her tone that sent a shiver down his spine. This is Mark. He has been helping me. Mark extended his hand, a friendly smile plastered on his face. Nice to meet you, man, he said. But Jake could sense the underlying tension in his voice. There was a light flicker of challenge in Mark's eyes, daring Jake to grasp at the remnants of a relationship that once seemed unbreakable. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the darkness of uncertainty creeping back in. What kind of help? It was the only question he could muster, trying to hold onto the hope that this was still about Emily. Just some support with the community center, Emily replied quickly, her gaze shifting away for the briefest moment. Mark is passionate about the outreach programs we're running. He has been a rock. Jake clenched his fists, the name community center slicing through his thoughts like a hot knife. Wasn't he that where they had shared so many dreams, where discussions of future plans painted their days bright? He had imagined walking back into those walls with her, but now they were tainted by someone else's presence. Great, Jake managed, forcing the word out like it was stuck in his throat. That's good to hear. Mark stepped forward, leaning a little too close to Emily. I think it's best we don't dwell on the past too much, right? We have a lot to focus on. His voice was smooth but undeniably strategic, as if he was intentionally steering the conversation away from any tension that might unravel. Yeah, Emily said, glancing at Mark before her eyes lingered back on Jake. A slight tremor betrayed the confidence she was trying to project. Moving on is important. Jake's heart sank. Moving on. The words echoed inside his mind, a reminder of what could have been. He couldn't just let her drift away again. Not with this new presence looming large and commanding in his unsteady world. Emily, he said, his tone a blend of assertiveness and vulnerability. Before Mark came in, can we just talk? Just for a second? Please? He needed her to see that the last few moments of their shared past were still worth fighting for. She hesitated, torn between the history that haunted them and the new chapter she seemed to be building with Mark. Her fingers twitched against the doorframe as if she were weighing her options, glancing momentarily at the man beside her. Jake, it's really complicated, she finally whispered, but even she could hear the disbelief flavoring her own words. Complicated doesn't mean impossible, he pressed. Just give me a few minutes. Emily's gaze flickered from Mark back to Jake, and for a brief moment, he saw the flicker of hope, just the tiniest spark that could light a fire. Then Mark coughed, breaking the tension, and Emily's momentary resolve slipped away like grains of sand. Come on, Mark urged, his voice layering over theirs like a gavel. We were just about to head out. Jake fought against the surge of frustration. You don't have to explain anything to him, Emily. It's just us. Can we just have a minute? Emily took a deep breath, and for an instant, the air was electric with the weight of all they had lost. She opened her mouth, but before she could speak, Mark stepped between them. Maybe some other time. Huh? You really should get going. Jake felt the parameters of his world encroaching, tightening like a noose. He had stepped back into this moment hoping for clarity, for understanding, but now it felt like he was watching it slip through his fingers all over again as they all shifted. The complex emotions swirling in the air felt suffocating. Questions buzzed in his head, unanswered and relentless. Would he always be a ghost in her past? What if she had already given her heart to someone else? And as he took a step back, the door feeling like an impenetrable wall, he realized he had only just wandered back into the labyrinth of their shared history, dark, messy, but potentially filled with light if only he could forge a path through the shadows. But just then, Emily glanced back, their eyes locking, and he knew this wasn't over. Jake, she said, voice trembling. What if? But before she could finish, she turned back to Mark, her decision weighing heavy on her shoulders. Jake felt the shattering of hope, the closing of doors. What was going to happen next? Would he finally find the courage to fight for her? Or would he lose her forever to someone else's embrace? Jake stood there, frozen in the moment. Emily's hesitation spoke louder than words, like a soft plea escaping her lips but quickly swallowed back. He felt every heartbeat echoing in the silence between them, palpable and heavy. The doorframe felt more like a barrier now, separating him from the remnants of a life they could have had. Mark shifted impatiently, his eyes flicking toward Emily as if waiting for a signal. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that Mark viewed him as a threat, a ghost from a past both painful and precious. Emily, Jake urged, his voice thick with urgency. Just tell me if there's still something here. If we can still. Jake, she whispered, glancing again at Mark, her hesitation netting them both in a web of indecision. Mark smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Look, why don't we talk about this later? You've done enough reminiscing for one day. He emphasized today like it was a negotiation, and Jake's frustration bubbled inside. No, Jake said, taking a bold step forward. I'm not letting her walk away without knowing how I feel. Emily's gaze darted between them, a tempest of emotions playing out on her features. There was fear, but beneath that flickering uncertainty, Jake glimpsed a defiant spark. She was still in there, the Emily he once knew, the one who breathed life into his darkest days. Jake, please, she began, her voice trembling, the air between them charged with emotions, invaded by memories flitting through Jake's mind, the laughter, the plans, the love that had once felt so solid. He could almost taste the bittersweet nostalgia that wrapped around them now, suffocating yet seductive. But Mark was relentless, taking a step closer, his body language protective. Let us go, Em. We have a lot to line up before the meeting. Meeting? Jake echoed, incredulity lacing his words. Is that what this is about? Just business? It's important, Emily said softly, and the defeat in her voice struck him harder than he expected. More important than us? More important than what we had? Jake's voice pitched higher, desperation clawing at his throat. Stop it, Jake, Mark interjected, frustration tinging his words. This is between Emily and me now. It's over. A bitter taste settled in Jake's mouth at the finality of those words. Over. Hadn't he come all this way? Hadn't he fought through sleepless nights just to arrive here? The thought of watching her walk into the embrace of someone else churned his stomach with an agony he didn't think was possible. But as Jake looked back into Emily's eyes, he realized this was more than a confrontation. This was their chance and intersection of choice. However painful, she could still choose him. I'm not done fighting for you, Jake finally said, voice steadying, with a resolve he didn't know he possessed. I won't let you go again without a fight. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The vulnerability in her eyes was unmistakable, and for the briefest moment, she seemed to sway between the choices laid before her. Jake, she whispered, her voice barely above a sigh. Jake stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. Tell me if you want me to walk away. Just say it. Mark crossed his arms, eyes narrowing. This isn't a game. Stop making it one. Then let her decide, Jake shot back, refusing to back down. He didn't care about Mark's presence anymore. Only the truth that lay between him and Emily, waiting to be acknowledged. Emily's name hung in the air, a lifeline. What do you want? But the moment was interrupted as a loud text alert broke their heavy silence, drawing Emily's attention away. She pulled her phone from her pocket, her brows knitting together over whatever message had pulled her focus. Jake held his breath, anxiously scanning her expression. What is it? He asked, feeling a knot tightening in his stomach. I have to go, she said abruptly, urgency weaving through her words. Jake's heart dropped. What? Please just wait for me. Okay? I'll explain, I promise. And with that, she turned to Mark, already on the move, pulling Emily into the direction of the door. No, Emily, wait. Jake reached out, desperation clawing at him as he desperately sought any sign she would stay, that she would reconsider. But with just one glance back, Emily vanished through the door, the unmistakable sound of it clicking shut echoing in his ears. Damn it, he whispered, heart shattered, feeling as if the ground had fallen away beneath him. Had he lost her again? Mark leaned back, arms still crossed, his expression smug as if he had won a battle. But Jake knew this wasn't over. There had to be more to uncover, and somehow he had to fight against the odds, break through the distractions, and bring Emily back to him. Just when he thought he had nothing left, the message popped up on his phone, a notification from their favorite community center project. The reminder of what they had created, a glimmer of hope in the chaos. Could this be the key to reaching her? As he stared at the screen, the flicker of determination ignited within him. It wasn't over. And suddenly, everything felt possible once more, the journey ahead edging closer with every heartbeat. Jake took a deep breath, ready to compose himself and find his way back to her. But how? What was he willing to risk this time to win her back? Jake fought against the rising tide of despair swirling in his mind. There had to be a way to reach Emily, to break through the barrier that had suddenly re-erected itself between them. Taking one last look at the closed door, he tucked away the bittersweet memories that surged to the forefront. The community center project flashed on his screen, an invitation from the past, promising connection and possibility. He remembered how Emily had poured her heart into that place. It had been more than just a project for them. It was their shared dream, a tapestry woven of hope and laughter. What if he could rekindle that spark? Maybe, just maybe, revisiting their roots could pull her back in. With renewed purpose, Jake sprang into motion. He grabbed his keys and raced to his car, the engine purring to life as if it understood the urgency driving him forward. The community center was only 10 minutes away, but each second felt like an eternity. As he navigated the familiar streets, Memories darted like fireflies, dusk meetings under the old oak tree, brainstorming sessions at the cafe bursting with flavor and laughter, community events that resonated with the joy of fulfilling their shared mission. The thought of Emily lit a fire within him that grew warmer with each moment. He pulled into the parking lot, glancing at the bustling entrance of the center. Families gathered outside, children laughing and running around, volunteers mingling as they prepped for the community event. It was a beautiful chaos, a vibrant reminder of everything he and Emily had created together. Taking a deep breath, Jake stepped out and strode toward the entrance. He spotted Sarah, one of the volunteers and always a wellspring of energy. "Hey, Jake, you made it," she exclaimed, a welcoming smile breaking across her face. "Hey, Sarah," he replied, quickly scanning the crowd for Emily's familiar presence. "Is Emily here?" Sarah's smile faded just a moment before she responded. "Yeah. She's inside setting up. I think she's really stressing about today. But you know how passionate she gets." "Thanks," he said, brushing past her and pushing the door open. Inside was a delightful blend of activity, laughter, and a hint of that irresistible energy that had always charged their endeavors. Every table was dotted with posters, supplies, and volunteers buzzing around like diligent bees. But Jake's focus remained laser-sharp. He had to find her. Emerging from the hallway, his heart raced when he glimpsed her outlined in the brightness of the room, hair cascading down her shoulders as she focused on arranging colorful decorations. She looked so beautiful, yet so lost in her world, and for a moment, he paused to appreciate her from afar, a lingering page of his favorite book. But he recognized that this wasn't the time for hesitation. He ventured into her sight line, calling out softly, "Emily." She turned, and for a fleeting second, everything else seemed to disappear. Emotions played across her features: surprise, confusion, and maybe just a hint of hope. "Jake, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice a mix of quiet disbelief and something deeper. "I came to help," he said, his words flowing with the sincerity he hoped would resonate in her heart. "I thought maybe we could reconnect, through the project." Emily hesitated, a flicker of something in her eyes that was indecipherable. "This isn't a good time. I have so much to organize before the event." "Just listen," he pressed, stepping closer, instinctually matching his tone to the urgency of the moment. "I'm not trying to interrupt. I just think us being here together feels important. Like maybe it's meant to be." Her gaze faltered for a moment, giving him a glimpse of the emotions roiling beneath the surface. "Jake, during our last conversation, I thought I was moving on. I thought it was finally—" "But you don't have to," he interrupted gently, his heart pounding in his chest. "This project is still about what we built together. We can start with this just like we used to, one step at a time." Tension lingered between them, charged yet vulnerable. Jake swallowed hard, feeling the previous weight of uncertainty press heavily down on him. But then, a child raced by, laughter spilling into the air, and for a brief moment, Emily's gaze softened, letting a smile slip through. "I don't know if I can." But Jake felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. "But," Emily looked down, fingers fidgeting nervously with the decorations. Her expression was conflicted, caught between the past and an uncertain future. Just as she seemed ready to speak again, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room. A table had wobbled and toppled, sending supplies flying in every direction. Emily gasped, adrenaline seizing her as she rushed to help. In that chaos, the moment slipped away, and as she turned, Jake called after her, desperation creeping back. "Emily, wait, please." As he watched her disappear into the unfolding frenzy, his heart raced. Would the path back to her slip through his fingers like grains of sand? Determined to find his way back to the promise of their love and shared dreams, he knew this wouldn't be easy. But how far was he ready to go to bring her back into his life? The noise of clattering tables and bustling voices enveloped Jake as he watched Emily rush into the chaos. It felt like an emotional tornado had swept through, tearing apart the moment they had almost reclaimed. The laughter of children and the excitement in the air contrasted sharply with the knot tightening in his stomach. He stood there for a breathless moment, trying to gather his thoughts. Emily was in crisis mode, her passion igniting like a banner of hope, but it was clear she needed more than just support today. It was about re-establishing that invisible thread connecting them, the one that had frayed but never truly broken. Jake took a step back into the shadows of the room, scanning for any opportunity to help, to bridge the distance between their hearts. His eyes darted over to a volunteer struggling to lift an armful of decorations. Without a second thought, Jake weaved through the crowd, his resolve firm. "Hey, need help with that?" he offered, stepping in to assist. The volunteer gratefully passed off a few brightly colored streamers, and as they adjusted things together, Jake caught glimpses of Emily darting around, her determination admirable yet overwhelming. "Is this the big event you've been working on?" he asked casually, hoping to draw the volunteer into a conversation that could ease his tension. "Yeah. Emily's been working her butt off for weeks. I'm not sure how she does it," they replied, admiration lacing their words. "But we all love what she's doing here." Jake's heart squeezed. He knew Emily's passion drove her, but it also had pushed him away. Glancing toward her, he saw her laugh with a group of kids, and that laughter reminded him of their shared dreams, how she had always seen the good in everything, always found a reason to smile. He wanted to be part of that again, but the fear of rejection loomed large like clouds before a storm. Ignoring the doubt, he moved closer to her, hoping to catch her attention without disrupting her. "Emily," he called out, raising his voice over the din. He saw her freeze momentarily before turning, her expression an electric mix of surprise and hesitation. "Jake?" He took a deep breath, steadying himself as he stepped closer once more. "I know you're busy. Just let me help. I promise I won't get in the way." Her brow furrowed as if considering his words. For a split second, he thought he saw a flicker of longing in her eyes amid the stress, but then the familiar walls returned. "I can handle this," she replied, her voice stronger than before, yet a hint of softness betrayed her uncertainty. "I know you can," Jake said quickly, urgency creeping into his tone. "But you shouldn't have to do it alone. Let's make this event everything you imagined together." There was a pause as Emily searched his face, and in that silence, the bustling room echoed around them. The laughter, the excitement, the preparations, they all faded into a quiet observer's hum. And in that moment of stillness, Jake's heart pounded, hoping to break through the panic and find connection. "Okay," she suddenly exclaimed, her voice lifting with surprising enthusiasm. "I'll let you help organize the arts and crafts table." Relief washed over him. "Yes, I can do that." As they moved back toward the table together, they fell into a rhythm, arranging supplies and chatting about ideas for the event. Jake could feel the energy shift, the tension easing with every shared laugh, every familiar memory recalled. Still, there was an undercurrent of vulnerability in Emily's smile. He sensed she was still holding back, caught between the past that wove their lives together and the uncertainties of the future. "Remember those times we painted the mural outside?" he ventured, hoping to unlock something buried deep. "We could make something amazing today." She chuckled softly, the sound carrying a warmth that traveled to his heart. "I remember you insisting on every bizarre color choice, and you loved it," he countered, his eyes sparkling. Their laughter danced through the air, and for an instant, Jake believed they were dancing around a door that had cracked open just a bit. But then her expression sobered. "Jake, I don't know if going back to how things used to be is possible. Things are different, I get it," he cut in gently, "but maybe different can be good." Emily paused, the conflict visible on her face. It was as if she was teetering on a precipice. Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the children as they kicked off a game, jarring Emily's thoughts. She looked out toward the excitement, as if the proximity to joy gave her strength. Before she could respond, a frantic shout echoed from the direction of the refreshment table. A coffee spill was spiraling chaos again. "Emily!" Someone yelled, and a snap. Emily darted off, leaving a swirl of unsaid words and unfinished hopes in her wake. Jake watched her go, feeling both gratitude for her brief openness and the sorrow of possibilities unfulfilled. He could see her determination shining even as she rushed to address the situation. Was this the moment he had to risk everything to truly show her he meant it? Jake knew he couldn't let her slip away again. As he picked up a few scattered decorations, he steeled himself. Would he take the leap when it mattered most? With each thudding heartbeat, he understood. The event wasn't just about fun. It was about binding their dreams back together. What would it take to pull her back, to show her they could be a force, just as they always had been? Determined and half-somber, Jake turned away toward the chaos, ready to seize the next moment that could change everything. Would this event spark something new, or lead her further away? Jake picked up the remnants of the decorations, feeling a swirl of emotions: hope, determination, and a hint of anxiety gnawed at him. He sensed the day's significance wasn't just in the preparations, but in the hidden layers of their unfinished story. As the children played, smiles plastered on their faces, he caught sight of Emily trying to contain the chaos around the refreshment table. The sight of her rushing, focused, lit a fire in him. She thrived in this, but there was an air of fragility, a reminder of how quickly things could spiral. "Hey, I was thinking," Jake said to a nearby volunteer, trying to keep his mind occupied while his heart raced. "What if we set up a surprise for Emily? Something special to lighten the mood?" The volunteer's eyes lit up. "That's a great idea. What do you have in mind?" Jake felt inspired. "We could get the kids to create thank you cards for her. She has done so much, and this would show her how much we appreciate her hard work." "Let us get the supplies," the volunteer exclaimed. With renewed purpose, they gathered colorful papers, markers, and stickers, bringing something bright into the mix of chaos. Jake felt excitement sprinkle through him as the children began to make the cards, laughter ringing out as they created chaotic masterpieces. While they worked, he caught glimpses of Emily, still coordinating the madness of the refreshment table, her voice determined but with a hint of weariness. She still didn't know he was stepping up, and Jake wanted to surprise her with this small act of gratitude. After a while, Emily approached, eyes widening at the scene before her. "What's going on here?" she asked, half in confusion and half in delight. "We're making thank you cards for you," a child shouted, waving a glittery card in the air. The surprise on Emily's face shifted into something softer, more vulnerable. "You all are too kind. I don't know what to say." Jake found himself stepping forward, heart pounding with courage. "It's not just the kids. I wanted to do something special for you, to show you that you're not alone in this." Her gaze met his, and for a moment, the noise faded around them. There was a spark there, a shared understanding of what they both needed: a bridge between their past and the uncertainty of their future. "I didn't expect this," she said quietly, sincerity wrapping her words. "You're so passionate about helping everyone else," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady. "You deserve to be celebrated for that." Just then, a sudden crash erupted. A child stumbled backward, arms flailing, and spilled a tray full of cupcakes across the floor. Jake and Emily were momentarily distracted, their moment of connection shattered into sugary chaos. Laughter erupted, and the brief tension broke as children scrambled to collect the scattered treats. "Looks like we may have another mess to clean up," Emily joked with a laugh, her smile cutting through the chaos like sunlight after a storm. Jake chuckled, but beneath the humor, he felt the rush of adrenaline again. Maybe this isn't just about the event. Feels like a chance to build something new together. With her eyes sparkling, Emily tossed him a playful look. "Are you saying you want to plan messes with me?" "Only if you promise to keep me on my toes," he shot back, feeling lighter now. But just as they began to share a genuine laugh, the moment was cut short when a local reporter arrived, wanting to talk about the event and its impact. Emily's demeanor shifted, her professional mask slipping firmly into place. Jake watched as she reverted to the driven person who always put on a brave face, and he felt the distance creep in again. The reporter started asking Emily questions about the event, her answers polished but devoid of the warmth that had energized their earlier interaction. Jake felt his heart sink while outer voices buzzed around him. He knew he needed to act, to not let their moments slip away again. Before he could think too much about it, he reached out, tapping her shoulder lightly. "Hey, after this is all done, can we talk?" he asked, hoping His sincerity cut through the noise. Emily turned slightly, momentarily surprised. "Talk? About what?" "About us," he said, his voice dropping to a hush. "We owe it to ourselves to figure this out." The concern flickered across her face, an unspoken question lingering in the air. But before she could respond, another child ran past, throwing another decorated card at her. Breaking the spell just before she could give him an answer, Jake's breath hitched. Would their fleeting moments dissolve again in the busyness of life? Or would they finally face what lay beneath the surface, a shared hope, a possible reconnection? As the event unfolded, bright and chaotic around them, Jake couldn't shake the unease of what might be waiting for him and Emily in the moments yet to come. Would they muster the courage to explore the uncharted territory of their feelings? Only time would tell. The event was in full swing, laughter and music blending into a joyful chaos that electrified the air. Kids painted, colored, and crafted away while families gathered to celebrate the community's hard work. But amidst the swirling energy, Jake felt the threads of hesitation tugging at him like the sharp chill of the approaching winter. There was so much left unsaid, an invisible weight pressing between him and Emily, but the celebratory atmosphere blurred the edges of their reality. Jake watched as Emily chatted with the children, her laughter like a balm that soothed his restless heart. She seemed fully immersed in her element, passion radiating from her every gesture. But now, her focus on the event also felt like a veil separating them from the echoes of their past. He needed to break through that barrier. "Let us take a picture," a volunteer called out, waving a camera. The children squealed in delight as they crowded around Emily, who flashed her radiant smile, lighting up even the coldest corners of Jake's heart. Standing at a distance, he felt an overwhelming urge to step forward, to insert himself back into her life. But fear held him at bay as they posed, arms intertwined with laughter. It struck Jake. Emily was standing there effortlessly, surrounded by joy, while he felt lost in shadows. But shadows are just reminders of light, he thought. Could he be that light for her again? After the photo session, as Emily returned to the organizing chaos, Jake seized the moment to approach her. "I'd like to help with the cleanup. It looks like you could use an extra set of hands," Jake said, mustering every ounce of courage to engage her again. Emily turned, a flicker of surprise crossing her features. "That would actually be great." She smiled brightly, an inviting warmth sharpening to clarity amid the distractions. Together, they began to tidy up, side by side, moving decorations and half-finished projects. Their hands brushed occasionally, igniting sparks that made Jake's heart race. "Jake," Emily ventured, breaking the comfortable silence, her voice steady yet vulnerable. "I've been thinking about our last conversation. Everything you said. I really appreciate the effort you're making here today." Her eyes sparkled, but there was still a hint of uncertainty, like a shadow lurking behind the light. "But there are still so many pieces to consider," she continued, hesitating as if she was searching for the right words. I thought you were leaving the past behind. I didn't expect you to come back." He took a breath, feeling the weight of their shared history pressing almost too heavily. "I know I've stumbled, and I understand if you're reluctant. But I came back not just to help, but to try and make things right. Together." The sincerity in his voice seemed to hang in the air, imbued with longing. For a heartbeat, it felt like the busy world around them dimmed, reducing the chaos to a mere background hum. "I missed the connection we had," he admitted, stepping closer, vulnerability etching his features. "You were everything to me, and I don't want to lose that chance again." A flicker of understanding crossed Emily's gaze, yet uncertainty lingered like fog. "But things can't just go back to the way they were, Jake. I have to move forward. What if moving forward means we can build something new? Something stronger?" He persisted. "You've inspired me. Those girls out there, Lila and her friends, they remind me of everything you taught me about hope. I want that again. I want a life where we lift each other up." Emily gazed at him, the weight of his words seeping into her heart. "It's just so hard to let go of the hurt," she confessed quietly, tightening her grip on the folding table's edge. "What if it becomes unbearable again?" Jake squeezed her hand gently, anchoring her in the moment. Then we'll face it, both of us. I want to be there to catch you when you stumble, like you've always done for me. The sincerity in his eyes was palpable, an emotional bridge that she could almost feel. You've changed, Jake, she whispered. But have I? You. Still that incredible woman I fell in love with back then. But you're also a stronger version of yourself now, and I want to be part of that, too. Jake's voice was firm yet soft, resonating with a truth he dared to convey. For a moment, Emily searched his gaze, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of hope reflected back. Maybe we reform the pieces together. One step at a time. Another rush of laughter erupted nearby as the children played, but within their little bubble of clarity, hope thrummed like a heartbeat. The noise around them surged back, enveloping them as they stood amid brightly colored decorations and determined spirits. They exchanged a nod, both stirred by the potential of what could bloom from the remnants of the past. Together, they began to clean up with renewed energy, laughter blending slowly with determination, the past no longer a shadow hovering over them, but a shared experience molding them into who they could become together. And as they finished stacking supplies, Jake dared to lean a little closer, whispering against the excitement swirling in the air, Emily, after all this, I'd love for us to go out for coffee, just us, to talk about everything, the community, the girls, and, well, us. The tiniest smile crept across her face. Yes, she breathed, letting the possibility sink into her heart. I'd like that. As they wrapped things up, filled with laughter and small glimpses of a familiar connection, Jake realized this was more than an event. It was a turning point, a fresh start amidst the beauty of chaos. He could feel their journey unfurling ahead, hopeful and fragile, like a new bud poking through the earth after a long winter. This was it, making amends, nourishing dreams, and maybe reclaiming the love they both still quietly cherished. Through the upbeat melody of the day, they stepped forward together, the vibrant community surrounding them, shimmering possibilities in the distance. And with that, Jake felt ready to weather any storm, so long as Emily was by his side. The adventure wasn't just about rekindling the past. It was about forging a new future, rooted in something even deeper. As they made their way to the exit, the door swung open, bright light pouring in, lighting the path ahead and illuminating their hearts with renewed hope. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Do you think Jake and Emily can truly rebuild? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because you know this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.